Hello, everyone.
Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to the show.
Huge fan of
But that's actually, I love Shane Helmsley a lot. Also, it's not a bad theme song though.
It's not.
His Titantron was really hilarious. It's like Christopher Reeves flying, and it's like the really bad. It's really bad.
It's like me trying to use this green screen to do.
It is.
Superman movie.
It's it's bad on I don't know. I think it's got to be bad on purpose though. It's really good though.
Oh yeah.
Underrated wrestler though. I don't know if he made any of the list as an underrated wrestler, but he is underrated though for sure.
Oh, definitely an honorable mention at least.
Yeah.
We've talked about him.
Yeah, we have gone on at length about him, haven't we?
We have. Yeah. Was it Randy Isabel? He's texting me. But how can you have a show with no AEW to talk about? That's funny. We're going to talk about that actually, Randy. So why don't you shut the fuck up, Randy?
I'm fucking
Randy, always picking us apart, Randy. all right, Randy. Randy. We have a new segment, man. We're not okay. So, hey everybody, welcome to the show, Smartmark Wrasslin Radio. I am one of the hosts, Derek on TSPN. Over here, Chris Huddleston, Hudds Magruder. This is all on Twitter, by the way. Down below, we got Dusty Cats 88, D-Cats, what I like to call them. We previously we were kind of doing like a recap of what we had watched. We decided to change that. We're going to talk about the future. We want to talk about the future now. We're looking ahead. There's a hurricane coming, or whatever he said. But instead of talking about recapping, you watched it. We didn't. We might have watched some of the stuff, but you watched it. So we want to look at the future. So Saturday is they're doing a Saturday night. Are they calling it Dynamite?
Yep, Saturday Night Dynamite.
Saturday Night Dynamite, and then Summerslam is Sunday. WWE SummerSlam, and the card looks okay. It's fine. I think they're literally doing Saturday Night Dynamite because of NBA basketball, which is currently going on right now.
Yes.
Which I don't know if it would matter. They pre-taped that weeks ago. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Or maybe not. Saturday Night Wrestling is an old school institution. It's cool to have it,
I think it's fine. I don't mind it. I mean, I don't. I'm not
television title on a Saturday night. I'm ready.
Well,
it's the heat in the street, baby.
It's also, it's freaking, it's COVID 2020, baby. There's nothing to do. We can't. None of us can go anywhere.
It's not like we're all going down to somebody's house to do blow. We're all stuck.
Because there's not enough straws. There's not enough straws to do the blow. We have to switch straws
yourself. No, I'm just.
We have to switch straws between each person. There's. I don't want to get COVID while I'm doing.
I wish
it
had a cooler name.
Colombian marching powder.
I wish it had a different name, like the Hulk Hogan virus, or like the.
Oh, that'd be all right. Do the Warrior.
The Warrior virus, man. Way cool. Way
the ultimate Warrior virus.
Yeah, man. Why?
Instead, it's named after. It's like kind of a shitty beer. Like it's not Corona.
Yeah, like what if it was Milwaukee's best virus?
Hey, what if it was the Rolling Rock?
I got the old Milwaukee.
It's the Milwaukee's best virus, not to be confused with Milwaukee's worst, which is
I got the Montucky virus.
All right. Well, at my job I'm working at, they have that list where it's like, hey, if you've shown these symptoms in the last like 24 hours or 72 hours, a couple of those symptoms where I'm like, I have those every day. Like, am I dying? I gotta turn off my air conditioner. I want good sound. Hold on.
Is this death?
I'm gonna fuck with the. Oh, what happened?
I love it. I love it when they can list. But on that topic though, when they can list topics, symptoms that people have, and then you realize, like, man, I have a few of those symptoms every day, and you're like,
for the past 15 years.
Like, I might have had COVID-19. How many days are in 35 years?
Yeah.
Like, there's a few of those symptoms where I'm like,
Oh, honey, that's me every day.
So I'm like, honestly, and I've refrained from like asking, like, what if you have that every day? Like, because specifically some of those symptoms are not ones that you just tell the world that you have, but like also a couple of those are I'm like I don't feel sick, I feel normal, but I always have that.
I always feel awful. I felt awful since late 2008.
Yeah, I might have had COVID in 2008. like that's so I don't know, man. That's a weird thing. SummerSlam is Sunday though. Man, a few. I don't think the card's great.
It's not.
I like a few of them though. I mean, I like Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. I think that's probably that could be everyone's strength of it.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be a legit fight, like a legit match.
Do you think? Are we finally going to see the Fiend Bray Wyatt though?
That's who they're booking.
Yeah,
that's who I want. So
yeah, it's the Fiend, yeah.
And if it's the Fiend, he needs to win. I really do think that if it's the Fiend, he needs to win it.
Yeah. And then we've got Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, the legend.
Which I like. I actually like it. I like Randy Orton.
I'm excited for it.
That's gonna be a good match. You know, it can't be bad.
Randy's a slow worker, and I know that's like been his criticism, but I actually like the slow work sometimes. I feel like, dude, when Randy works with somebody like Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy,
it's an example of deliberate instead of plotting. Like,
right.
There's dudes that move slow and it's annoying, and Randy Orton is not one of those dudes. Like he's got a methodical way of working in the ring, and I don't agree with anybody who says that it's slow.
No,
it's definitely.
I feel like Randy does.
I prefer slow wrestling.
Well, Randy does a lot of wrestling with his face too, right?
Yeah.
Where he's doing like a slow. He's slower. I'll say it.
That's why he and Edge are put on such good matches.
Yeah, he tells a good story with his face though, where he does like this thing where he'll do like a big move and then he stands up and then he does this story where he's like you could tell like in wrestling world he's plotting his next thing, like right, like because he's a psychopath. He's Randy Orton. He's the apex predator. He's plotting his next. He's plotting his next thing. But that's
Mr. Orton, I'm pretty sure you're like a psychopath or something.
Exactly. But that's good storytelling, right? Like he's like, man.
A lot of those second and third generation wrestlers are that way, though. Like they've got a way of working that you
it's
don't
the essence. Bam, boom.
From the high spot kids that you see. Like it's the difference between, say, the Hardys and The Rock and Orton.
Right.
Like there's a way.
Randy Orton never was a backyard wrestler.
Right.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Well, and then we've got the thing I'm most excited for is the double header for Asuka.
Yeah. She's got two, right?
Two title shots.
And I am
so stoked.
You think she's unifying?
I think so.
Oh yeah, I put my money on it, man. She's the hottest thing since sliced bread, man.
Do you think that? So what? No, so my question is not is she gonna win both? Because I actually do agree. I think she'll win both. My question is, do you think they'll unify it though? Do you think
I want it, but I don't think they will.
So because they had Becky 2 belts, right? But she had both, and then she lost one, and then she carried one forever, and then Seth Rollins put another fucking person out of business again.
Yeah.
Well, with his dong.
So if they do that with the Universal title, I can see them doing it with the SmackDown Women's title.
Did they do it with Universal though?
They haven't done it, but
I mean, it feels like it's kind of going that way, though, right?
Yeah, if they do, which I think they will. So if they do that, then yes, they will unify the belts, and Asuka will just be the first undisputed WWE Women's Champion. And
it's funny that you say that because I do feel like if Braun wins, his next opponent is Drew McIntyre.
It has
to unify those belts.
Yeah,
they don't need the Universal belt.
And I feel like, I agree. And they've gone away. They've gone away from everyone's, especially there. It's all the Performance Center for now. They are moving away now. They are finally moving away.
There's too much gold.
The Thunderdome.
There's way too many fucking belts. With it all being on the Performance Center, it's been too much for 6 months. It's been way too much. Yeah. I do think if Braun beats Bray at SummerSlam, his next opponent's Drew McIntyre. It's not going to be Randy. Because I do think that the company. So just we've talked about this. The company doesn't know really who's over right now. We can only speculate, right? We can go by social media.
So now's the time to move.
Right.
If you're gonna if you're gonna make something, do it now. When we have no say at all.
But although I do feel like the fans, social media wise, it does seem like everyone has accepted Drew. Like Drew is the guy.
Yeah,
he is.
He would put, and I think we said that last week. If he was in front of a live crowd, he would pop like a motherfucker, man. It'd be.
You would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Drew. I think he's great. He looks awesome.
Can I tell you my theory about this? Okay. I think that Drew is Triple H's like version 2. Like Triple H has got a rock hard boner for Drew. He's from the UK, number 1. He came up through NXT. He bulked up. He's a big boy. He's all buffed out. And he's got the long hair and the beard. Triple H has got a boner. Yeah. So give him the 2 belts.
Better than it was 10 years
give
ago.
him the 2 straps like Triple H did at WrestleMania. Let him have the same. Let him ride the same train, bud. And if they do that, then they're definitely doing it with the.
I almost wonder, though, right now with the way things are, with how heavy they are with the women's championships, though. I almost wonder if they would unify those first. To be ahead.
It would make sense.
To be ahead of the curve, to go and Asuka wins both. Asuka gets the WWE Women's Championship belt, whatever it looks like. I would say probably it's not going to be blue or red. It'll be they'll go with a more gold. I think a more gold.
It's gonna be. They should.
Well, because look at
the traditional belt.
Look at the new U.S. Championship belt.
It's sick.
There's more gold. I love it. Yeah, there's more gold than red, white, and blue, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Intercontinental Championship. They've kind of been showing us in the direction they go. Because right now the logo, right, is just like it's like gold, WW, and then in the middle is like fucking leather, right? Like
nothing.
They're gonna go like mostly gold to get rid of the color, I think.
Yeah, there needs to be a shiny strap that glistens in the fucking.
Do you think they
light.
unify Intercontinental and World or in U.S. title? Or you think they keep it?
No, it's sustainable.
So it's just the championships. It'll
because
be
it's like the IC and the Euro.
Oh right. So it'll be championship, women's championship, and the tag teams. They got to unify those tag teams.
Yeah, they do.
And there is a new design I know of. Like I've read about. There's a new tag team design that they were going to use, and they haven't used them yet.
So here's my last question for that. What do we do with so we're going to unify belts, right? What about NXT? Because now NXT is not it's not C brand, right? We kind of make that another brand.
Right.
Do we throw NXT in that as well? Do we unify NXT into that?
No, NXT is working. You leave it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got UK and itself, and you let it sail.
So
I
Raw
think it's okay.
SmackDown,
I think it's good.
Unify NXT, keep by alone.
Yeah. It's Triple H's baby. Let it ride. You know.
It's still developmental too. Like there's no way around it. It is still developmenmental.
Yeah.
And should be. For Christ's sake, it should be developmental.
And it's the best iteration, right? Wouldn't you agree that of all like Tough Enough and OVW and Florida, like it's the best iteration of developmental that they've ever done. So
I mean they're in a good place though, right? Like WWE is, because unifying those belts on Asuka and Drew is a great move.
Yeah.
Yes.
Two great young talents. They do carry it well. I know they wanted like Roman to be the guy, but like Drew would be a great guy to unify the championship belts on. And then Asuka. Like I can't think of anybody other than Asuka to unify those belts, other than probably Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, they could pull it off with her. I'm just not a Charlotte fan though.
Not me either. I could argue that you could throw Alexa Bliss in that as well. Yeah, Alexa Bliss could do some nasty heel turn and definitely like unify those belts and be just fine.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because the Fiend took her, right? Like he took her or something.
Yeah.
And she could become Sister Abigail. Like there's a thing going on there, and that could be very cool, or it could be very hokey. Like that one's going to be that's like a coin flip on whether that's going to turn out or not.
They did something cool because they teased Alexa Bliss as Sister Abigail a long time ago. But then also, so this was actually smart where they're actually delving into their own lore and doing shit with their own lore, which is something that they don't typically do, right? Like WWE is really good at just forgetting shit that has ever happened. Yeah. Like, hi, Kane, I was burnt in a fire and I can't talk, and then all of a sudden I can talk and my face isn't burnt and I'm a crazy bald guy now, and now I'm a mayor of a city in Knox County, Tennessee. They do this whole thing. Yeah, but they could do a thing where they teased her as Sister Abigail forever ago. But then they didn't do it. But then Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, they did the mixed tag team challenge a while ago, and they didn't tease. WWE didn't tease a relationship between the two of them. But in the back, when you follow their social media and stuff, you got to see Alexa Bliss's chemistry with Braun Strowman, and you could tell that, you could just tell from watching it, like they got along well. I don't know if I think they just got paired together and they just made it work basically, and it was you know, like when you get partnered with somebody and you're like, oh, hey, I actually have good chemistry with this human being and this is fine. So that's kind of like them. Like they had good chemistry. They were fun to watch. They were kind of silly. He's fucking gigantic and she's teeny tiny. And
he really is like one of the bigger people that they've had.
Yeah, he's massive.
He's not Big Show or Andre, but he's big.
And I like their chemistry together. It's kind of weird. Like I don't want her to be his valet because I think she's bigger than that. I think she's
good enough in the ring that she doesn't need to be doing that.
I think she's a fucking star. I honestly do. I think she's an absolute star and should be she should have a strap on her for sure. But I do love her in this mix because they have teased her as the Sister Abigail also, and they did that forever ago. I think it was a while back when they were like trying to figure out what to do with all of them, with these newer people, and I like it. I like what they're doing with it. I like that they kind of have like in the storyline right now, like Braun Strowman being like, I don't care what happens to her, but it's like, well, you do though, because we watch all the behind the scenes shit, and you guys had good chemistry, and it was fun.
Yeah,
it's funny how the mixed tag those things, the mixed tag matches, ended up being like so big,
right?
Dusty, what were we talking about when you're having your difficulties?
Yeah, my USB port crapped out on me, Phyllis.
It's all right, you're back. We were just talking about how how personally I like the Alexa Bliss in the storyline between Braun Strowman and
absolutely,
because they teased her as Sister Abigail forever ago. It was a long time ago, but she's had that mixed tag stuff with Braun Strowman. It's something that WWE doesn't normally delve into their own storylines,
and they need to do it more. I think
shit, right? They just forget shit. But like the mixed tag challenge though was fun. We actually liked it. A lot of us really liked the mixed tag. In fact, WWE, please bring back mixed tag challenge. It was fun. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
So I like that she's in the storyline. Actually, I don't know which way she'll go because I actually I like both sides of it. I like the idea of her being the actual Sister Abigail and her coming out and being like this heel and being with Bray Wyatt. I like that idea. But also, I watched a lot of the social media stuff with her and Braun Strowman, and I thought that was a lot of fun too. So I don't know. I think there was a lot of people who watched when they were in a mixed tag together, and they watched that behind the scenes stuff. I think a lot of fans were like, "Man, I hope they like each other." Like like a lot of people were like, when you ship people, right?
Yeah.
They're like, they're going to be in a relationship.
Famous for that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Where do you guys fall on it? Do you guys hope she goes on either side of it?
Yeah, I hope she's Sister Abigail. I
either way would be fine. Do something with it.
Or like she has a moment where she seems like she is, and then she turns and helps Strowman go over the Fiend.
I do think it would be fun to see her as Sister Abigail. Like she's been the person the whole time. It was me, Austin, all along. I do. Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, I like it. I know a lot of people shit on the McMahon stuff, like as being like the, as being the guy behind it all along. But I liked it. I always have. I didn't hate it. Why wouldn't it be him? He's nuts. Of course, the psychopath wanted Austin to just give into this whole storyline. And then it was just to fuck Austin over from the beginning. It was me, Austin. It was me. God God, of course, that was so good, dude. As a 14-year-old, I loved every minute of that. So I don't know.
Oh hell yeah!
The long, drawn out, fucking conspiratorial.
Yeah. What else is there on Sunday though? Couple more minutes here.
Dominic and Seth in the street fight, which
yeah.
The Street Profits.
Well, so on Seth and Dominic, I do feel like it needs to be the end, whichever way it goes. It's got to end.
I just wish I cared.
Yeah.
Is kind of how that one goes. Like, I bet you it's going to be fun to watch, but I just wish there was some reason for me to give a shit. And I just don't feel like there is.
I feel
like the girls that are doing the hair for hair match. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about those. Last one I cared about was probably when Kurt Angle shaved his head going up against Edge, because I really didn't want Edge to lose his hair.
Right. No, never. When Edge had that short hair for a while, I hated it. I love that he has that long hair again. When long hair or short hair? Are you thumbs down short hair Edge? Or? Oh no,
short hair Edge.
No. When Edge came back just this last time when he had the long hair back, I was like, "Fuck yeah, Edge!" If you would have came back and had that Christian hair, I'd have been like, "Fuck him."
A lot of his ability to sell was
you put your kids to bed and get out of the ring.
No, that's true. That's true, Chris. He came back. He would do it. That hair.
Yeah, it's like a character unto itself, like Randy Orton's face.
Yeah, that's true. Because Edge would do that thing where when he would go for the spear, right? He'd be in the corner. He'd do his own hair and like fucking pulling it down, like making it a thing. Like God, like going nuts. Like I'm gonna do a spear right now, man. I'm gonna fucking spear this guy.
Put him right through the goddamn turnbuckle.
I got him mapped on every button, man.
God, that's so good. So yeah. Okay.
Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza.
I think that's going to be a tight tag team match.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll actually be really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good tag team bout. I actually do think it actually might be the most, dare I say, the most underrated match on the card. It'll be good.
The most entertaining.
Yeah, it'll be really good.
It's possible. I like Angel Garza a lot.
So do I.
Great.
I think Andrade is also good. I think it'll be good. It'll be solid. I think Street Profits are good. It's gonna be, it's tough because the rest of the card is like, it's Bray Wyatt,
Apollo Crews and MVP is the next one.
Right,
that might be all right too. I haven't seen MVP wrestle since he came back.
We haven't, and I want to see it, but I'm also like, they're not gonna give it to us.
But he's like 5 or 6 years older than I am, and I'm 40. Like, let's not do this anymore. I also just, can we just say it's awesome that MVP is wrestling? Like, that's so cool. It is. And I always enjoyed his work when he was younger, but I haven't seen him since he's been back. And what did he get tossed out to the Royal Rumble, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember seeing him do anything else. And
I think it's cool that MVP's in it.
Yeah.
I like that he's wrestling. It's cool. I also like what his place is, though. He doesn't need to have that belt. He's a good talker. We've actually found this out, right? I think we've actually found this out. Like MVP could be a valet. He could be a valet for fucking Bobby Lashley, and
he's great.
And Shelton Benjamin. And he doesn't need to have a title. We don't need to have that.
No.
I think if the fans were there, MVP would be a valet. Yeah. He's a good talker. I don't think what's funny is we didn't know MVP was a good talker, though.
That is odd. Like, how come he didn't get mic time before?
Why didn't he get mic time before, right? Dusty, do you remember MVP having a lot of mic time when he was?
Oh yeah, he would be on the mic every time he came out.
But not as like a leader of anything, though.
No, not as a leader, but he would come out and immediately grab the microphone and do a promo, kind of like Jericho. Jericho, every time he comes out, give me the microphone. You know what I mean? Like, he would pull that shit. I like seeing. He was the part of SmackDown, man. He was the biggest part of SmackDown back in the day.
I just like seeing MVP as like a leader of something, though. I like this, though. I would honestly, I would throw a couple more bits at that, though. I think it's a good bit. I think it could be a new Nation of Domination. Honestly,
dude, I would love that kind of thing. Man.
I would throw. So he's got Shelton Benjamin, right? He's got Bobby Lashley. I would throw
another one of those dudes that's amazing in the ring and really is not a talker. And I don't think I've ever.
They should get that. They should get Keith, or not Keith.
Oh yeah, Keith. Yeah.
Well, Keith would be okay, but they should get like that crazy white dude from NXT with the gloves and the the mustache. I love that guy. Put that guy on their team. Give him the crazy white guy.
Yeah, throw a few more. I think it'd be fun. I think it could be a cool stable.
And not go the Nation of Domination route. Just leave the racial shit out of it. Because that's the only way we're ever going to move past racism if people just stop fucking dividing up on those lines. And I mean,
that's the problem with like what was it with Taka and Funaki, right?
Right.
And like you always have to be teaming. That's what I love about Cesaro and Shinsuke, man. That's a cool team. That's a legit cool team.
Well, and it's like it's fun because it's like artists formerly known as, which I like that. Where it's like they're artists. I like that. Which when they teased that, they did a 1 week where they teased like Daniel Bryan joining them, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that could be cool." Like that could be a cool.
I love it. I love that stuff.
Like get Sami Zayn as like the mouthpiece. Throw Daniel Bryan in there. Throw in Shinsuke and Cesaro. These guys who are like these indie, like well-known indie wrestlers, right? Who are like artists. They're artist wrestlers. Man, I actually love that idea. I think you could even go as far as throwing like AJ Styles in there. Honestly, like throwing AJ Styles, like these guys who are like they're artists. We're artists of the craft.
Yeah.
You know, I
wear berets and shit.
God, cool, right? Wouldn't it be cool? It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, let's get through Dynamite really fast, and then we can move on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the only thing that's left is the damn chick match with the hair.
Yeah.
And no one cares.
No one cares.
Plastic looking whores. I just don't care. Like every picture I've seen, it's like they've got two Barbie
You're
doll
like Hank's dad. You're Cotton Hill over here.
Who is it?
Mandy Rose and her former partner,
Sonya Deville.
Yes, they both look like semi-melted plastic, and I don't know if it's what Florida does to their makeup.
So Mandy's gonna win it. I already figured it out. Mandy's gonna win it because Sonya Deville doesn't care if she shaves her head or not.
Yeah, she's a badass.
And Sonya Deville is gonna look good with a shaved head.
Yeah, she is.
That's
the thing. Like Mandy Rose is not shaving her fucking head because she's like that. She's built on like being like the hot blonde, right? But Sonya Deville is gonna rock a bald head because she's like a UFC fighter too, right? You know, like it's pretty easy to guess. I bet you what happened was like Sonya Deville like one day was like, I'm thinking about shaving my head, and they're like, no, save it for work.
Save it for SummerSlam.
Save it for
SummerSlam. All through the summer.
Because Sonya Deville will look good she'll look good with a shaved head.
G.I. Jane, dude. It's gonna be sexy. Give her some dog tags.
Right. Ow! And it won't hurt the character, right? Because Sonya Deville she's a fighter. So it won't matter if her head's shaved.
No.
But Mandy's thing is set on being like hot, right? Like her thing is like being hot.
Man.
So like it doesn't matter if Sonya Deville shaves her head, right? If she'll look cool with the shaved head. Also, that's Sonya Deville. She's hot as fuck anyway. She doesn't look hot without that hair. She's a brunette, man. She's a look good, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, it'll probably increase Sonya Deville's popularity to have the shaved head.
Yeah.
Because she'll be more badass. They'll have her embrace it, you know. She'll be bald, so they'll have her embrace it even more. Because she's supposed to be like a UFC. She's like
would you embrace her bald head? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Right,
she
like
is
it,
a.
like around.
She is technically. I do know from her social media. She is she likes the women.
She's a rug muncher, is what he's trying.
She's
to
a
say. lesbian. She's a Lebanese thespian.
Oh, she's from an island in the Mediterranean.
She is,
The
and
Isle of
I mean, if for some reason she would have me, first off, I would be like, why? And then second, I would be like, why?
Okay. No, just say okay. Just say.
And then I'd be like, can we be friends? Like, we'll be friends.
She's got an interesting trained by Brian Kendrick, Booker T, Billy Gunn, Lita, and the WWE Performance Center.
Wow,
I like that.
pretty good
That's
lineage.
cool.
That's a tight lineage.
I actually think that Sonya Deville could be a star. I actually do think it, and I think the shaved head will actually help. But I do think it'll set her apart. It'll set her apart.
All right, you're just obsessed now. Now it's just obsession.
Do you think there's anything to that though? It could set her apart. I mean, something is.
Oh
small,
yeah.
Right. She's the only one now. She gets her head shaved, but she's tough. They tried packaging her as the.
Oh
this,
her
mixed
versus
martial
Shayna
arts,
Baszler.
Right?
Yeah.
Shayna Baszler versus Sonya Deville. That would be a great matchup.
Yeah. But now Sonya
I
Deville,
dig what you're saying. I dig what
her head shaved. She's fucking like just tough. That's it. You're not grabbing this girl's hair, right? Like
I want
to
to hug her head now. I want to give her a hug. When this COVID thing's over, I want to hug her bald head.
She's G.I. Jane, but so she gets her head shaved, right? She's G.I. Jane, right? Like she's.
I want a G.I. Joe of her as G.I. Jane.
It could be cool though. I do think that Sonya will lose that match, but I do think that's the reason why. I don't think. Yeah. I think Mandy. I think Mandy with the shaved head. I think I don't think. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think they could package Mandy Rose with a shaved head.
No,
and I
just
think
looking at her, she doesn't look like the type that could be.
No, and I think Sonya Deville, with how they've already packaged her now as a mixed martial arts fighter, as she's also openly gay, so she's
Chinese.
She's got gorgeous hair.
She's not Chinese.
It's gonna be a shame.
I'm just joshing you, bud. I'm just joshing.
Also,
I got you though. I got
you.
She ticks a lot of boxes.
Also, I can picture her with the shaved head, like kind of like as that package where I'm pitching her as being like this tough, like fucking scary person.
Yeah.
And I can dig it. I like it. I like the idea. So and then Mandy Rose, you shave her head. I don't know. What do you do with that? You have her shave her head. You know, it'd be funny. Okay, here we go. Here's how I package Mandy Rose with the shaved head. This is how I package it. It's fucked up. You're not going to like it.
Here we go.
You're not going to like it. Mandy Rose loses. She shaves her head. Her boyfriend, what's his name?
Oh, come on.
We love him.
Bank winner, for Christ's
I know.
Otis.
Okay, so she shaves her head. Okay, imagine this.
And then her new name is Dump Truck.
Now, hold on. This is fucked up, and no one's gonna like mine at all. They're gonna hate it. They're gonna hate it so much. Mandy loses, has to shave her head. Otis, the fat oaf like troll with a giant face, he sees her with a shaved head on TV. He breaks up with her because she's not hot enough anymore.
That's the best thing ever, dude.
He's only with her for the hair.
He dumps her.
Because they're married, so in real life they stay together, but in the show,
he dumps her.
Are they actually married?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Are they? No. He dumps her. He dumps her because she's too ugly.
He doesn't like girls with no hair. It reminds me of my brother.
Mine's fucked up. That's a messed up storyline.
I like it though. That's Monday Night Raw, dude.
Yeah. He dumps her because he thinks she's too ugly.
And then she goes all goth.
I kind of like my booking more. I kind of like it more.
Yeah, way more exciting.
It would piss a lot of people off.
It would be great. Randy Isbell would love it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
No, he doesn't give
event.
a shit about it. He doesn't give a shit about it.
Should we do top 5?
AEW real quick.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, yeah.
We got Brody Lee and Cody for the TV title.
And this is on Saturday now.
This is Saturday, yeah.
It's not tonight.
We've got the Elite versus the Dark Order. So that'd be the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus 4, 5, 6, 5, 5, 5.
Yep.
And then we've got Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood versus what are they called? Private Party.
Yep.
And then Darby Allin's going to wrestle somebody. And then we've got an 8-man tag, Butcher and the Blade and the Lucha Brothers versus the Natural Nightmares and Jurassic Express, which that's the one I think I'm most excited for. That one will be cool. We'll get to see Goldust in action on Saturday night.
Guys, the Dax Wheel, those guys they're heels now, right? They are.
I think so. Well, I hated them before, and I hate them now.
I think we did too, but I think they're actually heels now. Like they're not giving drinks to people after matches.
Well, they beat up one of the Freebirds or something. I think on Wednesday. So I think
that is not a tick in the win box. Freebirds were old when I was born.
Yeah, dude. No, I'm serious. Both of the Freebirds were there, and they were fabulous. That fucking mullet is on point. I'm telling you, they look great. Point. And the Rock and Roll Express was there too, man.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it was fucking great. It was a shame that Jim Cornette wasn't there with his tennis racket.
Being angry.
Getting angry, eating a cheeseburger, popping a vein. All right. Not as exciting as SummerSlam, but the 8-man tag should be cool.
Those are always a coin flip.
The Young Bucks will be boring.
Sometimes they're awesome, and sometimes it's like, why did you even bother booking this? And it's always either or. There's never like an average 8-man match.
No. So let's do our top 5.
Yeah.
You want to start, or you want me to?
Let me start.
You want to start? Okay. This is, by the way, this is top 5 celebrity appearances or storylines on. Appearances is not enough. It's celebrity storylines on any wrestling. So, top 5 celebrity involvement.
Right.
Okay.
And these are in order.
Okay.
Regis Philbin.
Nice.
Is my number 5.
Okay.
Not only from being on WrestleMania, like that Undertaker interview is hilarious, but he would have the wrestlers on the talk show like all the time. So like the service he did for the wrestling industry in making it mainstream and accessible is
second.
I mean,
none.
Yeah, absolutely. So Regis Philbin, hell yeah. Next one. Now this guy is going to be on my best and worst, but nice. Burt Reynolds. When Burt Reynolds was the announcer for WrestleMania, dude, that was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It's so bad.
That's really good. Yeah.
He's wasted. I love
Top form, Burt Reynolds.
Number 3 is Motorhead when they played Triple H out to the ring. Time to play a game. That was fucking.
That's pretty cool.
That's fucking cool. Number 2, Andy Kaufman and Lawler and all the women he fought, dude. That was genius.
Yeah,
that was some genius real wrestling, man. So
the level of kayfabe there is amazing.
Like,
he lives that gimmick.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And it's implied in Man. It's implied in Man in the Moon that Jerry Lawler was in it on the whole time, but I don't believe it.
I think he's a
actually
liar.
don't believe
I think he's a lying sack of shit. Is what I think.
in Man in the Moon, it's implied that he was in on it the whole time. I do not think so. I don't think so.
I think some of that stuff. I think some of
I
that
think some of that was Andy Kaufman.
Lawler thought Andy Kaufman was a little pencil neck dweeb and legitimately hated this Yankee and wanted to snap his neck. So, but anyway,
at what point
I loved it. I loved it.
On that? Like when do you think he was? Like I don't think he was in it the whole time either. But I think at some point they had to be like, he's working.
Yeah.
He's working.
This worked.
I do think at some point Lawler was brought in like, hey, Andy loves wrestling. He's fucking with this. Like, let him be this heel. Like because I do think Andy
the Letterman interview.
And Andy Kaufman loves wrestling. Like he loves it.
But there was
he wanted to do it.
That was during a time when Lawler could have killed someone in Memphis at noon in Town Square and gotten away with it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of creepy shit that he was doing back then, and he could have killed even Andy Kaufman. And no one.
If he really didn't like him, he would have.
Yeah.
So I just
don't think it was the whole time. I think in the
that early stuff, I think Lawler was genuinely pissed off.
Yeah,
and I think that was why they had to let him in on it.
I think at some point they had to introduce those two and be like, "Hey, like by the way, like the manager for Andy Kaufman had to be like, hey, like he loves wrestling. He wants to be a heel. This is a thing he wants to do. He's been fucking with us for a while here." You know,
just let him in on it, man.
At a certain point, like I think Lawler was brought in. I just don't think from the very beginning they're like, hey, by the way, this pencil neck asshole from New York is gonna be doing this thing. Like, there's no way. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I like that though. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Great choice.
Number one is Limp Bizkit. When they played
Limp Bizkit. Wow.
Yeah, dude. I'm limping with a biscuit, man. I love Limp Bizkit.
Wow.
The
wow. Man, that's a good choice. Fuck.
I love Limp Bizkit, man.
I thought our choices
You're not
would
limping with a
intersect
biscuit?
more, but they're not.
I'm actually surprised where they did.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great choice. I wish we should have talked about it more before because now I like the musical choices before because I'm gonna say I love Motorhead's involvement. I love
it was cool, man.
That's really good. I love that. Damn, that's really good.
And they did it several times, didn't they? Because they did that King of Kings song.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
And then Kid Rock almost made the list, boys.
Yeah.
We're about to bog really with the podcast.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm actually glad our stuff didn't intersect that much. I'm gonna do mine next. Because I don't want them to all be taken. Number 5, I'm gonna go with Mr. T.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like, man, it felt so right for the time, especially. It was just so good, and I love the chemistry he'd had with Hulk, and it was just good. I mean, there was a long while where if you came in late as a wrestling fan, you almost could have thought Mr. T was just a wrestler.
Yeah,
he was very wrestling type. It's actually almost funny that he wasn't a wrestler.
Yeah,
it really is.
You're like, where the fuck did this guy come from?
The chains and the mohawk and the beard, like he just looked like a character.
Just as a human, he's just such a wrestling character. So it's interesting that he wasn't. But he wasn't. He's a celebrity who was a wrestler. Number 4. Number 4 makes my best and worst. I'm going with David Arquette. So he's my worst because he never should have been WCW champion, and we know that's one of the things that was like a nail. It was a nail in the coffin for WCW. Yeah. But at the same time, if you watch some of the newer stuff that he's doing, that documentary he's in right now, he absolutely is in love with this sport, and It's hard to not take David Arquette as like one of us,
Right?
Yeah,
and just be like,
he's a comedian, right?
like man, David. Yeah, he's a huge fan of the sport, and he wanted to do that movie because he's a huge fan, and it's hard to not respect that. So David Arquette's in my list.
But it's hard for it not to be bad because it's like putting the belt on me.
But he's also in the bad because he shouldn't have had a belt. That's fucked up. There are good WWE and WCW wrestlers who never got that belt.
Right.
Yeah, man. Fucking Chris Benoit is one of them.
Yeah, and David Arquette did.
Yeah.
So yeah. So,
bullshit.
But he's on my best because he's a celebrity who's in love with the sport, and he always wanted to be there, and I like that.
I like his career now, man. I'm stoked. I think he's great.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he didn't agree with taking the belt either. Like
he didn't. No,
he fell in line, but it wasn't something that he wanted.
That's some Vince Russo shit.
Yeah, it was Vince Russo shit. Yeah,
isn't most of the things that we dislike about
Yeah.
Number 3, I'm going with Lawrence Taylor.
LT.
Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow was probably one of my favorite celebrity involvements in a matches. It was a good match. It was fun. It was believable that LT could win because he is tough. And man, he had that football tackle, which was like his like finisher and only move.
Yeah.
He did that tackle. It was like a spear, but it was like a tackle. He would go down in like a 5-point stance and then go into a fucking tackle, and you're like, yeah, he could be Bam Bam, maybe.
He could probably take it.
He could do it, maybe.
The beast from the east.
Yeah.
He could do this.
And also just LT was cool.
Yeah.
He was a cool wrestler, and I'm also a big football fan, so I loved LT anyways, and it was fun. Okay. Number 2, combination. Rodman and Malone.
I will be right back. Right back.
I liked it. I actually liked it. I like that Malone was training with DDP. I like that Rodman is with. So Malone was DDP, and then Rodman is with NWO, and it fit into that whole argument and the whole rivalry, and it was fun. And
was there
cool.
basketball on the Superstation?
There was, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that they had it within the network, to do those cross promotional things, That's so great. That's great.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so cool. This was also during the time when the Jazz and the Bulls were like vying for like top team of NBA, which was kind of cool. Like they're playing with like these teams are playing each other like to be the best team in the NBA, but also like they're in wrestling. And I don't know, it's cool.
Yeah.
My number 1 though, and honestly, it was kind of hard to not choose this, and I do feel like it was a bit of a cop out. But I do think Mike Tyson. I think Mike Tyson. So I love that Mike Tyson originally was like the DX guy, and you're like, okay, whatever. And remember, they're all doing. I always thought this was really funny. They're doing suck it as this though. Remember in the beginning, they never were doing the X.
They did it every once in a while, but they
did a little bit. But usually it was just pointing to the groin, right?
Yeah, for the people at home, it's this one right here. It's this suck it.
It's suck it.
Suck it.
It's pointing. It's pointing to the genitals, right?
Pointing down. Yeah.
Do you remember?
It's a suck it like this, not a suck it like this.
Do you remember though? That's great. Thank you. Do you remember when Mike Tyson was there though? And I remember being young and watching this, and they're all mostly doing suck it. But when Mike Tyson was on there and he started doing suck it, he's doing the X though. He's going X.
He's
X. And I was like,
"Hey, why don't you come over here and suck it, man?"
And I was like, it doesn't fit. Like they're not doing X. They're doing suck it. Like this is my junk. Suck it. And I remember being a kid being like, he's not doing it the same way. And then he's not a DX guy at all. He's a fucking Stone Cold guy. He was the same way we all were. He was a Stone Cold guy. And I loved that. I love they brought in Mike Tyson as being a suck it DX guy, but he's not though. He's a Stone Cold guy. He's 316, baby. He's the way we all were.
Yeah, dude. If you're not a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, you're not a wrestling fan.
Right. I don't get when I meet people. When I meet people to this day who are like Stone Cold, I'm like, really? Like I don't get it. Because I feel like even if you're like at the time during this time, so this is around the time of corporate ministry too, and Undertaker, and I was Undertaker fan, and I still loved Austin. Like, I don't know people who don't like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
He's so wildly relatable.
Right. And there are people who are on the fence about like The Rock, and I get it. Like I love The Rock because of everything he's done. Too. He's built like this amazing career, and he's like broke out like from like people like there are people who know The Rock as only as a movie star, and I'm like, man, I've been watching The Rock since I was fucking 11 years old. Like watching him on wrestling. Dude. Like he's like, this is my like I love this guy, and I love The Rock.
I know. Come out as Rocky Maivia, the blue chipper,
you know, with that fucking dude, he made her lips last week with the worst hair, with that fucking fro like that, you know, like that Jerry curl fro he had, like
right, exactly. Right? He just fell out of the tree.
But the people who are, if you're 50,
it's crazy how that haircut got onto the podcast 2 weeks in a row.
It did, yeah. I love it. But if you're 50-50 in gray area on Stone Cold, I don't get it. I don't get who you are as a person. Yeah. I don't get who you. I mean, if
you're not a fucking wrestling fan,
I think we did top 5 wrestlers. I think he was in our 5. He has
every one of us.
Yeah, he has to be.
Yeah,
he's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
As far as like all around.
Yeah.
He's wildly underrated as an in-ring performer.
Yeah,
but he could match with just about anybody.
Yeah, he set a tone for an entire generation of wrestling. He is hands down one of the best wrestlers ever, and it's and that's not to be said for his in-ring capability. Although in his in-ring capability, he was also one of the best. Actually, he is actually one of the best. He's an amazing in-ring performer, but also his just charisma alone was so good. So when Mike Tyson came out and ended up being like a Stone Cold guy, it was like, fuck yeah. Like, dude, I like Mike Tyson now. I didn't even know that I liked him, but Stone Cold likes him. So now, so does young Derek.
So does little Derek.
Likes Mike Tyson now. So, Mike Tyson. Also, Mike Tyson has recently been on AEW. I think that's fun. I think also Mike Tyson recently also looks like a scary person I would never want to fight. He's an amazing
dude. I can't wait for him to clobber somebody, dude.
It's gonna be good.
Yes, a head is gonna come off. Like
when is that?
I don't know.
September,
it's in September. He's fighting.
Oh God, I'm so ready.
Who's he fighting?
Oh, it's
a dead man. A dead man walking right now, man. Whoever.
Because we were talking about it, like how much would it cost you to get punched in the face by Mike Tyson?
Oh man, no way, dude.
Fuck.
And I went with $250K, and if I could
spend the money, wouldn't be allowed.
If I could land a shot,
he would knock my brains out of my head.
Well, no. So the deal is they pay the money. You get $250, but they pay the hospital bill also.
Yeah,
that's the deal. They have to pay the hospital bill too. So $250 is fair if they're paying my hospital bill.
If if they turn me into Darth Vader after he takes my life by punching, then yes, I will take.
I don't know.
He hits you so hard you burst into flame.
Boom! And when I come to, I want to be like back like this and be like, "Where's Mike Tyson?"
Where's that man? I mean, Mike.
And like that he punched you in the face. And then I'm gonna be like, "No, no."
Oh, that's funny.
Darth Vader is the price. Is my price. That's my.
Yeah, you got a Darth Vader, mate.
Full with laser sword and everything.
Everything. All right, you ready for mine?
So good. Yeah, let's see yours.
We had a little bit of crossover in the middle, all of us. Number 5. These are in order. It's a very non-Hudds thing this time, but number 5 is Pete Rose.
Yeah,
he's
shit.
a gobbledygooker.
Damn.
His long-running shtick with Kane just tombstoning him every time he saw him, was awesome.
It was a WrestleMania tradition, man.
It was great. And then we already talked about Mike Tyson. He's my number 4. He brought a lot of mainstream attention because he was pretty infamous at that point. He'd bitten the ear. He'd been this monster in boxing for a long time, and then he did the ear thing, and so Mike had a lot of eyes on him, and I think it was really good for the product itself. Karl Malone and Rodman's match with DDP and Hogan, that was for a company that had so many late stage just terrible things. That one was really fun.
Yeah.
And those guys both seemed to take it fairly seriously. And Karl Malone's diamond cutter was on point.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good diamond cutter.
Oh, dude, it's great. It's great. Randy Orton couldn't do a diamond cutter that good.
No.
It was flat. It was great.
And I think part of
it was like a video. It was like Tekken. I see it in my mind. It's burned in my retinas. I can see it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, I think part of the diamond cutter is that he didn't know he's not a wrestler.
Right.
So he's able to just make this just nasty fucking move, right? But he's not a wrestler, so if he kills you, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So just like, diamond cutter, did I break your jaw or you're alive? Okay, fine.
Oh, sorry, your neck's broken.
It looks good, though. It's so good, yeah.
Regis Philbin was my number 2. Just the amount of... He probably got more eyes on the business than Tyson did.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Over the years, and his sheer TV presence, like he's one of the top 3 TV stars.
Your mom would watch Regis and Kelly, and then
right.
Hulk Hogan's on. You're like, Mom, Hulk Hogan's on. Hulk Hogan. He's like,
prayers, training, vitamins.
I like that.
My number 1, the most important part of the Rock and wrestling, not Liberace. I did not pick Liberace. He was well past his prime. Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, yeah.
Cyndi Lauper is probably
about going with Lauper too. Yeah,
the most important celebrity to ever show up on wrestling because of that time. She was bigger than Regis Philbin at the time.
Yeah.
And I know it didn't last into the 90s, but man, when she showed up for WrestleMania, that was a really, really, really big deal.
Yeah.
And so I think her involvement is probably my definite number 1.
Yeah, I tend to. I think I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
It's hard to explain it to people now because she really didn't carry that forward. Like she wasn't a Madonna or those types that really hung on. Michael Jackson, but she was in that caliber for a short period of time.
Who the fuck is Pat McAfee? Pat.
Oh yeah, Pat McAfee. Yeah, he's that's also true. He's a football punter, and that's actually very true.
He's fighting.
Yeah, he is, and he also does he does a lot of WWE stuff. He's also got a huge podcast. He's a Colts punter. Yeah, that's actually a great bit. Also, if you get a chance to listen to Pat McAfee's podcast, fucking hilarious, great guy. That's good. That's a good choice, Jesse.
On what? On AEW? Oh, Adam Cole.
He's wrestling Adam Cole. Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Fuck, I forgot about that.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right. I remember seeing that on the damn. He threw the water at him.
God, that's good. It's really good.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a mess because Adam Cole's gonna win that definitively. But it's gonna be great because Pat McAfee is fun though. Like he is fun, and he's like what Gronk will wish he could be Pat McAfee on this wrestling on Saturday. It's gonna be good. It'd be fun. Also, I didn't tell you guys. And that, my friends, is a segue. Very lovely, Jesse. By the way, I did want to tell you, I have an honorable mention, but I wanted to wait on it. Because my honorable mention was also arguably for my number one, but I didn't want to take away from Mike Tyson. But it was Will Sasso.
Oh.
Will Sasso. I'm not a huge Will Sasso guy. I think he's funny. He's not my guy, though. But his rivalry with Bret Hart, it was WCW, and they had a rivalry on Mad TV a couple times where Bret Hart came in and did some stuff with Will Sasso. Will Sasso did stuff on WWE or on WCW, and it could have been the reason why I did not make my number one. It's an honorable mention is because it didn't end up being anything, and it could have been fucking great. It could have been awesome because it was along the lines of Andy Kaufman-esque.
Right.
Like where
you couldn't tell if it was a work or not sometimes.
Yeah, like, it was
sometimes it looked like Bret really fucking hurt him hard, man.
And
like,
it sometimes really looked like Bret really fucking hated him too.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know. I remember being a young man and being like, "What is going on?"
I've heard that about Bret. Like, he won't injure you, but he'll hurt you.
Yeah,
He'll make sure you don't walk away.
It was good though. It was
but you're not going to be comfortable.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, we're gonna wrap up here, but we should talk about our wrestler Jay.
We should.
We saved it. We saved it a little bit.
We did.
Wrestler Jay tonight. We're gonna tag team a little bit. What's triple?
Because he's a tag team specialist.
It's all I've ever known he's ever done was tag team. But tonight we're doing Marty Jannetty.
Marty.
Yeah. Right.
Mostly because this is actually really good timing. It's because we have letter J, but also because
he's a fucking murderer.
Some stuff going on right now with Marty Jannetty.
And I thought he would after that initial post where he talked about making a man disappear for the very first time. I thought he would have, backpedaled a little, especially after the police investigation came up, but he further explained it.
Oh, good for him.
Basically admitted it. I don't know if you read the article I sent to you guys. So Jannetty revealed that the man dragged him to the back of the alley and tried to take his pants off. The then 13-year-old Jannetty, my son is 12, by the way,
right.
Then took a brick and hit him in self-defense. This is a quote. He was a front desk clerk. He was known to sell the weed, not just weed, the weed. What I didn't know was that he lured in little kids. I can't say he deserved to die, but he deserved to get his ass beat. And when I was beating him in the head with a brick, I was only trying to beat his ass, wasn't trying to kill him. Can you imagine dragging a guy? He's just trying to fuck you in the ass. Can you imagine dragging him to the river and throwing him in, and then finding out on the news the dude's missing? You know the dude, And you know more than that. That fucking affected me bad, bro. End quote.
That's
Jesus
nuts.
Christ.
That's him doubling down. He did not backpedal. He explained that he beat this dude's face in with a brick and dumped him in the river at 13 years old.
Damn.
That's like 7th grade, man.
So reasonably, so Marty, so it's crazy. So because we're doing this letter J also. So reasonably, he's one of those ones we've actually talked about this on Tom Spent Poorly, where you could look at two people and you go like, oh, this one's gonna be like the star,
right? And
so
I was always wrong.
Like comedic duos, right? So we've talked about. So in relation to this, we'll talk about. I'll bring up Bill and Ted,
right?
Like Keanu Reeves is the one that made it,
right? Alex Winter is not.
But Alex Winter was the one that a lot of people thought like Alex Winter is going to be a big star,
right?
But didn't happen. Between Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, I think a lot of people at that time thought that Marty Jannetty would be the star.
I was convinced. To this day, I will tell you, he was the better in-ring performer at the time.
So it's nuts that. So after Shawn Michaels made a heel turn and became the star, there were several times where Marty Jannetty tried making a return, but he was still like the Rocker.
Right.
He kept like the original.
He didn't get new tights.
So it's interesting that like in wrestling now, like when you watch like Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins went their own way from like the Shield, right? But like Roman Reigns kept like the flak vest and like the cargo, like he kept all the Shield stuff. He has the Shield music. Like he's the only one from like the Shield that kept all the stuff. But he's like, they made him like the star. So It's interesting because Marty Jannetty did kind of the same thing with like the Rockers. Like Shawn went a completely different direction. Marty Jannetty kept on the same path.
Yeah, Shawn went Village People, and it worked for him, and it shouldn't have. Like you look at 90s Shawn Michaels, and you're like, how did this guy end up being my favorite wrestler? Like, why did that work? And maybe it was just because it happened at the perfect time, but. Like his cross earrings, his fucking power mullet, his chaps, like everything about Shawn Michaels screamed, this should not be my favorite wrestler, but his matches were on point.
Well, and Marty Jannetty was he was the power of the tag team, right? Like,
no, he's shorter. He's shorter than Shawn, and Shawn's not a big guy, but
was Marty the flyer?
Yeah, he was the flyer of the team, but neither one of them was really a flyer. Like Shawn had a moonsault and that elbow drop that he did, and but if somebody was going low and somebody was going high, I think it was Marty that went high. Okay.
So that's interesting too, because usually it is like either the power or the flyer of a team. Yeah. So like the Hardys, like they really pushed Jeff Hardy because he was the flyer, and then Matt was the power.
Yeah, even though he was not a big dude.
No, roughly the same size. But it is usually that mix though, right? It's usually a power and then a flyer.
Yeah. Even Jeff was definitely higher all the time.
Yeah, like with the Hart Foundation, there was Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who is the power, but Brett wasn't really a flyer, but he was smaller.
But he was more of a technician.
Yeah,
I mean, Jim Neidhart was a big dude.
Big dude, yeah. So it's interesting. So I mean, I remember being a kid, and I've always Marty Jannetty was like the name that we knew at home. We didn't know Shawn's name, is my point. Like we knew Marty Jannetty and the Rockers, basically.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But Marty Jannetty didn't have it. He didn't have the whatever it is. He didn't have it.
Right. Well, and they were both problem children.
Yeah.
Like, I guess from the get-go. but Marty, he didn't have that connection with the crowd. He didn't have, and I don't know if he kept the work rate to justify keeping him around with that kind of attitude. Like Sean just kept getting better, arguably even as he got older, like up until he retired, he was constantly getting better. Yeah. And I think Jannetty peaked at like WrestleMania 7 when they fought, was it the Barbarian and Haku? I think. Great match, but yeah.
And I don't know if they ever won. Did they ever get? They never won a tag team championship together, though, right?
They had one, but they won it at a live show that wasn't televised, and the writers' room decided to give it back to. I think it was the Hart Foundation that they won it from.
Right. So it was always interesting that they had Sean go against Brett later on in their careers, right? Where they hated each other, but they always had them go against each other because obviously the chemistry they had when they were young was like huge.
Right.
Poor Marty Jannetty, though.
I know.
And I do think part of it did come from the fact that they had him still be the Rockers, though. I really do think that.
They didn't repackage him at all. No. There was no difference in window dressing. And that wasn't a joke because he got kicked through a fucking window either. Like, it's just, they didn't, he didn't move forward. And Sean could be the lead singer of the Village People, and it was different. It was totally different. So it worked. And in the end, only one of them murdered somebody, though. And from his wording, knowledge, from his wording, he didn't just murder somebody. That was just the first one. And I hope they find more. And it turns out like half the serial killings in the country were from him being on wrestling tours.
Marty Jannetty's been this known murderer forever.
And they put a lot of that shit to bed, and some families can get some closure. And maybe Marty can get somewhere where he can get away from drugs.
That's crazy.
Because he's had a horrible life.
Part of it too.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, Sean had drug trouble too, but Sean did eventually. He fixed his ways. He did whatever he's done and
attempted to make amends.
Yeah. I think he did make an amends to Bret Hart eventually. I think that's a thing that actually happened.
Yeah, I think you can find it on the network.
Yeah.
The whole interview. And there's a couple of times in the interview where they get salty at each other.
They do. Like,
control this shit, JR.
I know. I think I remember watching that, and there were some times where you're like, well, I don't know if they're exactly cool with each other now, but I do think an amends is different than being like friends. Like, you don't have to be friends. You and I don't have to be friends, but an amends can be made.
Right. They shook hands.
They've shook hands. It's an agree to disagree kind of thing.
Well, and Brett had somebody new to dislike too.
Right. Oh,
he could hold his grudge against Goldberg.
Brett hates lots of people, and that helps.
He seems an unhappy cat.
It's like when you're dating somebody and then you break up, and then the next person you date was actually worse than the last person you date. Then the last person you're like, I could be friends with them.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
They were okay.
But he seems to have had a rough go of it from day one. Like, maybe the reason Sean partied so much was because Marty was a drug addict.
Yeah.
And that's just conjecture on my part. Like, I'm not
I
saying
wonder who's I'm gonna look this up. I'm curious now. I'm looking up ages.
Oh.
1960. Is Marty Jannetty.
He's 60 this year.
Michaels.
So this was 1973, and there's no.
So Marty is 5 years older than Sean, also.
Okay. And
so your conjecture, though, is what I'm saying is there could be some part of that is also like you're older than me. You're my bigger brother. You do this stuff.
Maybe
I'm going to do this stuff too.
Yeah. And, God, what was it? He had some stuff. Like he had an NWA title match against Ric Flair at one point. Yeah. Before he and Shawn became the Rockers. He'd had a halfway decent career. And like you said, he's 5 years older.
Right.
I didn't realize Shawn was only 55. But so, yeah, and I think he probably got teamed with Shawn so somebody could show Shawn the ropes and teach him to be a tag teamer. And it sounds like they partied a lot, though, like enough that other people were worried about it in their early WWE days. And I don't think he ever moved past that, which is probably why they never put the world title on him.
Right. The Undertaker is also the same age as Shawn Michaels.
He's only 55?
Right.
Wow.
Right. The business ages you. But Shawn Michaels retired, so he's able to keep some of that age.
Yeah. The Undertaker retired him.
Jesus.
Wasn't that a good series?
It was
like
amazing.
4 great WrestleManias in a row.
It was so good, yeah. Well, yeah, because you had the Shawn Michaels WrestleManias, you had the Triple H WrestleManias.
Yeah,
so
and
good.
They were so different, and it told one big long story.
Yeah, I mean it was an arc, right? It was an arc over 4 years for one time a year.
Yeah, maybe the best storytelling that wrestling has ever done. Because I know we were. Did we do best and worst angles?
I don't think we've done. No,
Okay,
I think we've done feuds.
Okay.
I don't think we've done angles though.
Because I have them typed out.
Which is something separate.
After the last show.
There is something separate, which is to be said for angles, which I do think, You have like a worst, you could throw in like, yes, we will do angles.
Like, there's
next week we'll do worst celebrity involvement though.
Yes, I gotta find some more. I've only got 2.
I will have more as well. I know I have more than 5. That's a thing for sure.
Let me steal a couple.
Yeah. No, this is good though. No, Marty Jannetty is our letter J though. And this is a good one though.
Yeah, keep an eye on that news story, folks.
I don't know
how many people are watching
now,
now, but
it's going on right now.
It's I don't think it's
nuts,
gonna end well.
Man. I want some TV presence on it because I want to watch it.
I know, but Vince will keep it as quiet as he can. I know he's got contacts, places to keep some of that shit under wraps, because there wasn't a whole lot of coverage of them firing a bunch of people, and so it's hard to say if that'll come up just because it's another black eye for the business. Right. It's not Benoit quality yet, but it's up there. I mean, he killed a dude before he ever got into wrestling, and he claims it's the first dude he ever made disappear, which is a really interesting choice of words, Mr.
Right.
Like,
number 1. He's a list. He's a list of at least 2.
Well, and then the post was because his girlfriend had gotten jealous and they broke up. And so was he threatening her that he could make people disappear for what, he's 60, fucking 47 years. He made this guy disappear.
It's fucked up, man. I love it.
Sorry, we forgot to mention Dusty had some technical difficulties and had to dump out, but
he did.
We'll see if we can get him fixed up for next time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing about doing it the way we do it is there's sometimes going to be some technical difficulties. But that's okay. We'll be back next Thursday though. We'll have another show.
And we'll have our worst.
We'll have our worst
celebrity involvement.
Celebrity. Yeah, that'd be great. I did find a song for us. That's the Rockers.
I was gonna say that sounds like the Rockers tune.
Thanks everyone for listening to the show. We have a great time every single week. We will see you next Thursday with our 5 worst celebrity involvement I got some doozies.
I think
I'm
it's gonna be a
pretty
good
excited
show.
about it.
And we'll have some
everybody-
SummerSlam recap to talk about.
And SummerSlam weekend, chime in. Let me know what you think about SummerSlam. We will talk about SummerSlam on the next show, but also we will be looking to the future. What's going on next?
We'll see how
We're
our
gonna
predictions panned out.
We're going to talk angles. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'm watching the video for this, too. It's great.
I bet. They had some
Everybody.
great moves.
Oh, yeah. They're a great tag team.
They were.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Really during a time of